Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Situation Room on PTV World. I'm Omar, Khalid, and of course, as we have been discussing in the last few days, we are talking about all the situation that has emanated post the Pahalgam false flag operation and how India is trying to continue to remain belligerent with its warmongering, with its jingoism, and of course, with all its attempts to kind of not only destabilize Pakistan nationally and internationally, but also trying to invade Pakistan through its drones or through the different missile attacks that have happened. We've seen what happened as far as the missile attacks is concerned, and we also saw the drones that have been confirmed now by the DGISPR. 25 Heron drones have been put down by Pakistan, and of course this also shows the intent that India has as far as the whole situation is concerned. What is quite evident now more than ever is that India was always intent on about escalating the situation and not de-escalating the situation, and it was always wanting to use one pretext or the other, as it has used the pretext of the Pahalgam false flag operation, which was in itself a false flag operation to begin with. So the whole intention is becoming more and more apparent, but of course Pakistan has also retaliated. Pakistan has downed 5 jets and the 25 drones. Amongst the 5 jets are 3 Rafales, and India was all hell-bent on denying the fact that the Rafale jets were not part of the arsenal that was downed by Pakistan. But it has now been proven, because even the company that produces its Dassault has also its shares have gone down. And the CNN has also confirmed it through French experts that at least one of their Rafale planes have been down. That has been confirmed, and of course they are also assessing about the 2 other Rafale planes. There are so many conspiracy theories that are going on, and this is what I, as an anchor person, would like to tell everybody, at least our viewers: kindly do not resort to thinking or reacting to all those conspiracy theories that you are looking at online. Just relate to the facts and figures that we are providing you, or the government is providing you, or what is coming from official sources, because there are many elements within our society as well who, on the behest of India and other powers, are trying to destabilize our own I wouldn't say narrative, but I'd rather say our will and our resolve as Pakistanis, and this is what we should not cater to. Kindly be very vigilant as far as all of this is concerned. Let's go forward with the program. We are going to discuss many things. Pakistan's army's befitting response to India. We'll be talking about the drones that have been put down by Pakistan, 25 drones to be precise, Hebron drones that are Israeli-made drones. Then, of course, we'll also be talking to on the international reactions that have come, China, Turkey, and many others. Donald Trump, who says he is willing to mediate between India and Pakistan as far as the escalation of tension is concerned, and also our DPM and Foreign Minister Raza, who has also apprised the foreign ambassadors on the latest situation as far as Pakistan is concerned. A lot is happening, but what we all need to concentrate on is the Indian designs. The Indian designs to not only destabilize Pakistan, but also to promote a narrative that gives way to a lot of speculation within Pakistan, and this is what needs to be also taken care of. EU Disinfo Lab, we all remember that. India has been using various tactics, and hybrid warfare is one of the major ones, and that is also what we should be very, very wary of. We've been joined in this hour because we'll be, of course, with you for 2 hours. I will be with you for 2 hours, and we'll be joined by other anchors as well. Air Commodore Khalid Chishti Saab, he's a defense expert. He joins us online, and in the studios we've been joined by Zamir Ahmad Awan Saab. He's a foreign affairs expert. Thank you very much, Zamir Saab. It's always a pleasure to have you here as far as any issue is concerned, international or national, but here it is a mix of the international and the national issues. Let's begin with you, Zamir Saab. Zamir Saab, the downing of 5 aircrafts, the Rafale 1 Su-30 MiG-29 by Pakistan, that is still to date not being confirmed deliberately by India, despite the wreckage being found, people making videos of all of that everywhere. How does it also signify the operational capabilities and the readiness of our Air Force, especially in the context of this escalating conflict that we are seeing, especially coming from India?
Well, it is very unfortunate that India war craze of Modi has gone to this extent. It is the first time in the world history that a nuclear power is being attacked by another nuclear power. It means the theory of a nuclear deterrence has been rejected by Modi. The consequences of the conflict between two nuclear power, you can imagine. India and Pakistan are highly populated countries. India has 1.4 billion, Pakistan has around 250 million, and it is the neighboring countries also will be the victim of this crisis. Unfortunately, Modi's war craze is unlimited. Pakistan is a mature country. Pakistan is a very responsible state.
And that is what it has shown through its reactions.
And Pakistan is observing restraints and patience. Pakistan is giving all the chance for the peace. Pakistan has already informed the international community, and Pakistan has offered its best possible cooperation for neutral, transparent and investigation,
impartial
investigation with the international agencies. Whatever is possible, Pakistan is trying to avert this disaster. Although Pakistan has the capability, Pakistan has the will, we are not scared of India. Just in the first attempt, we shot down their 5 aeroplanes and around 25 drones.
Yes.
This means that Pakistan has the capability. Just Pakistan wanted to give a chance to the peace. We don't want to be pushing the situation to more disaster. However, we still await from the international community to press India to stop these hostilities against Pakistan.
But you know, to be
Pakistan
very
has a
frank,
threshold.
Zamir, to be very frank, we can say as much as we want on India's trying to stop the hostilities, but this has been India's design all along, Zamir Sahab, to be the hostile state, to be the hegemonic state in the region, and to, you know, push for using its force in all the neighboring countries. And this is one pretext that it is using. A false flag operation is what the pretext it is using to inflict what it is doing as far as Pakistan is concerned. And when you look at the Indian media, it is more than apparent that the Indian mentality has completely changed. Look at all the people who previously used to talk about other things, or maybe peace, or maybe collaboration, now talk about hatred, starving Pakistanis to death. I've been seeing this on social media, and on the one hand it does break my heart to see that, but on the other hand it makes me also realize that the Hindutva policy is now becoming more and more apparent within the entire community in India, irrespective of their religion. Apart from those who are being persecuted, that is the Muslims, the Sikhs and the Dalits, the rest, the majority of them have the same narrative now because they have been brainwashed into it. But when you look at all of that, how responsible has been the reaction by the international community?
I endorse all of your point of view. I fully agreed. But what is the Pakistan strategy till now? That we still want to give a chance to the peace, negotiation, dialogue, and request the international community. Although especially the United Nations failed to resolve any issue, major issue in the world. They cannot stop the genocide in Gaza, they cannot resolve the issue of Kashmir, they will fail to settle down the Ukraine war. In the past, many big issues, United Nations was failed. But still I think the Pakistan is following the strategy of giving a chance to the peace. Pakistan has the will, Pakistan has the capability. When India cross the threshold, Pakistan will respond.
But if you look at the way India has been, whatever it has been doing, whether it be the missile strikes, and then whether it be all these drones that that was struck down by Pakistan, and whether it be the whole narrative that India continues to build. They say that the operation has so-called Sindoor anyways is not yet finished. So they are pushing their own public and their own to this agenda that this war or this war-like situation is something that India wants to continue, and despite Pakistan's peace overtures. under this situation, I will again ask you the same question. What is the role of the international community? Is it responsible? What more needs to be done?
You know, India tried to sell its narrative of the Pahalgam incident, which they failed. International community has supported the Pakistan narrative for joint investigation. They have not accepted the Indian narrative. They supported the Pakistan. So this means that India was desperate, and in desperation, Modi is warmongering.
I think this whole drone chapter of this war-like situation is also showing India's desperation.
Yes.
What it wants, I feel, is a reaction from Pakistan. This is what Pakistan is not giving for the moment, and that is what is infuriating India. This is my take on it. When Donald Trump offers to help ease Pak-India tensions, do you feel that it could play an important role?
At least we are happy that America is not supporting India or not buying the Indian narrative. Maybe he will not help Pakistan, but at least he will not help India unilaterally.
You know, because despite the fact Zamir Saab, J.D. Vance was there when the Pahalgam false flag operation happened, and it was deliberately done so that he is there when this happens, just like Bill Clinton in 2000.
That was the Indian strategy. It was their Indian designs. They have chosen the time, especially which coincide with the Vice President's visit.
Alright, you say these are the Indian designs, but Zamir Saab, I'd like to understand, if these are the Indian designs, then shouldn't the important world bodies pressurize India to stop its designs of this warmongering or this destabilization of the region?
You see the response of United States, response of the Secretary General of the United Nations, Chinese response, Iranian, Turkish, Arab world, most of the world is supporting the Pakistan narrative. They are not with the Indian narrative.
They are not with the Indian narrative, but nevertheless, shouldn't the world go beyond statements?
Definitely, they have this responsibility. At least the United Nations has this mandate.
All right. Also, how do you feel Pakistan should leverage its strategic relationships with these countries that you pointed towards, Turkey, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who of course is also being met by the Indian counterparts as well, and China, of course, our brotherly country, to counter the narrative and gain broader diplomatic support. Also, adding to that, what kind of fora do you feel Pakistan should now move towards, or contact or be in touch with regarding this whole situation?
I think the Pakistan is doing very well. Our foreign minister and deputy prime minister has already contacted many dignitaries around the world, and he has addressed the foreign ambassadors in Islamabad, and our prime minister is also in touch with many world leaders. Our army is preparing everything. They are aligned with the emerging situation. Wait for some time, and when it is appropriate, Pakistan will respond, and we have the capacity.
All right. When Pakistan highlights all that India is doing, whether it be these drone attacks, whether it be the missile attacks, India mostly denies it and builds on its own narrative. That, of course, the truth is totally opposite to what we are saying. How is the foreign media buying into it? Which narrative is it buying more into? Because I'm seeing different viewpoints on international media as far as this whole escalation is concerned. Some are favoring the Indian point of view, some are favoring the Pakistani point of view, some are neutral. What's your take on that?
You know, the Indian, they are more in numbers, and especially they are in the high tech and in the media. In the leading organization in the world, Indian are placed there, especially in the media. So they are trying to promote their narrative, but the neutral people, the sensible people in the international community, they understand it very well. They can differentiate between the false fake news, distorted narratives, and all type of things. They can just distinguish between truth and the false.
We've seen many of our diplomats recently, Zamir Saab, who've been quite active in interviews with international media outlets, whether it be Rizwan Saab, who is our ambassador in the US, whether it be Faisal, who is our ambassador in the United Kingdom, or whether it be Mumtaz Zahra Baloch, who is our ambassador in France. All three of them, I've seen it on different media channels, whether it be Sky, whether it be on France 24 and others, have put Pakistan's narrative to the forefront, despite the fact that the anchors who are present there were trying to do their level best to kind of portray the Indian narrative and push the Indian narrative down, but in fact it was very well balanced by all three of these ambassadors. How important is the role of our diplomats who are abroad to highlight Pakistan's narrative and to apprise all the important think tanks, communities and organizations abroad of what the reality of the situation is?
I was also a diplomat, and now this is the responsibility of a diplomat. I have been interviewed by many foreign media, foreign outlets, and many other friends from the other countries, and this is our duty. This is our professional duty, that we have to project the Pakistan narrative and protect the Pakistan interest. And all of our diplomatic missions, our ambassadors abroad, they are doing very well.
All right. Let's talk about all the speculation that we are seeing. I talked about it in the introduction to my show as well. In fact, I started with this whole aura of speculation that India is perpetrating directly and indirectly through different websites, social media and otherwise. How important is it for our public not to buy into it?
Access to the media, access to the information is a basic right of everybody. But of course, especially the social media, we have to be very, very careful about the fake news, about the fabricated stories, and about the AI generated footages, videos or the photographs and distorted narratives. We have to be very, very careful. We need to have our own judgment, and we have to counter the negativity.
All right. We've also been joined now by a Commodore Khalid Chishti, the defense analyst. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. First, sir, I'd like to understand so many different perspectives regarding our forces, and of course what is coming out from the Indian side of it all. Firstly, the blatant lies that the Indian side is perpetuating through its social media platforms, through its media platforms and otherwise as well. Are we countering it effectively?
Many thanks, Omar Badsab and Pakistan Television, for having me. I think it's an ongoing effort. Probably we cannot be judgmental in this free world when the access is so much. The media, the opportunity of having the information across the board just through a device of a mobile is unlimited. The channels are obviously, all of them are not responsible enough. So there is always a fog out there. And the people obviously who want to search for the truth probably find it hard. Even the countries, you must have noticed that even Pahalgam, when it was broken down as a news by the Indians, many people were trying to look for the truth. But obviously they took time to absorb the news, find the facts. And when obviously they found that it is most of the time, most of the facts are baseless, they came up with a very conscious response. And why didn't they condemn India, or they did not at least suspect India to be behind it? Because probably the world is finding the solutions according to their own relevance. The world actually looks at any of the issues with not the neutral glass probably. They have already biased eyes, biased opinions, and they have the national interest first. The countries obviously who have better trade with India, better social ties with India, economic constraints tied down, they will always, obviously, they'll be very careful in condemning or even pinpointing or even focusing on India as the main culprit. That is why you see that Pakistan has been successful to quite an extent. But when it comes to the might, the size of the economy and other factors that I just mentioned, we unfortunately see that they do a selective pick of the logic. They do not simply go for the logic, because we're trying to, our investors and the diplomats and political and people like you who are paying responsible, they're trying to convey to the international community. But unfortunately, again, as I said, they are national interest of other countries. They prioritize it first. What will be at stake if they side Pakistan? If there is a price bigger than the relations, obviously they'll compromise siding Pakistan. That's what I believe.
Chishti Sahab, also the downing of 5 jets, including 3 Rafales, that was negated by India till such time that a French expert said this on CNN. That at least they have confirmed 1 aircraft, and of course the stocks of Dassault Aviation have gone down as a result of that. add to that the 25 Hebron drones that have been downed by Pakistan as well. How do you see this as a significant success for Pakistan, whether India admits to it or not?
You see, as a fighter pilot, as a retired fighter pilot, I have been making documentaries on my YouTube for different topics for Little Pakistan Air Force. When I was doing the research and trying to find the opinion of others about J-10C, the aircraft that we bought along with PL-15, I found out that they were sarcastic about this aircraft, especially the Indian media and the Indian professionals or the writers. They were susceptible, obviously, about the aircraft. They said, obviously, we have the best technology, which is the Rafale, which is French technology, the most advanced technology coming from the West. And here Pakistan buys J-10C, which is a Chinese aircraft fitted with Chinese missile, and probably they're going to be nowhere close to the French. But we proved it otherwise. You saw that the kind of resolve that he had during the strike. One thing that I like to highlight here is that, like it was announced by the government, they had 80 the top fighter jets available in the air on that night. So out of 80, they were flying almost the whole fleet of Rafale. Let me share with you. The whole Rafale fleet was in the air. That composes 4.5 generation, almost 35, 36 aircraft up in the air. So this is a ratio which they were trying to influence and bully probably. A salute to my eagles and tigers who went up in the air and did something which is not found in the books. And what is not found in the books? So when I was young officer, we were told there are two types of missions. One is the defensive counter, another is the offensive counter. Now, what is defensive counter? I will not go into technical details, but I'll tell you very simple term. Defensive counter mission is in which the pilots are asked to defend themselves, avoid enemy or make sure that the enemy does not enter, make all possible effort that they should not be able to intrude and penetrate into to cause harm. So this is a defensive counter. Now, offensive counter is when you go deep into the territory, shoot down the enemy aircraft and destroy any target which you've been allocated. This is a unique mission in which Pakistani fighter pilots not only converted a defensive counter mission into offensive counter mission. You normally don't do that, don't even read that. That's something out of the blues. That's why I'm totally, my hats off to these young boys whom I met about a couple of weeks back for making my documentary. I spent the whole day with them. And I met them and I interviewed them. And believe you me, I could relate in my YouTube documentary when young people, everybody was saying, sir, let the time come and we will not disappoint our nations. And that is exactly what they did a night before. So what I'm trying to say, what follows it, probably the India out of the frustration, instead of being courageous, instead of being brave, instead of being magnanimous, they came down to the desperation level. And that is what you see what's happening every day. Yeah.
Is it this panic mode that has led to the Heron drones being sent to Pakistan?
Because they're not finding any option, Omar Saab. Because they are thinking, now they become attrition shy. They lost 5 aircraft. What will they tell their nation? Why were the nation spending $75 billion on them, the armed forces? 950 plus aeroplanes. Was it you send in 80 aircraft and 5 do not land back? Was it for that? And obviously, I'm not the one who should ask this question. It is the Indian nation should ask this question to their Air Force. Did we spend on you just to get shot down? Number one. And when you have such bad morale at the national level caused by the Air Force, I can visualize the morale level of the pilots of Indian Air Force. Regretfully, they did not achieve anything from their perspective. And our pilots went up and did miracle, I would say. And it saved their own aeroplane. That's the best part. I was talking to some officials last night in the Air Force, and I was truly impressed and I was appreciating them more instead of shooting. I said, how come you survived? Everybody came down safe. They were flying 35 Rafale in the air, sir. That's a huge, it has a magnificent jamming box. It has electronics devices. It has a electronic suit which can shoot the enemy. They were playing for about 1 hour hide and seek with them to shoot and avoid getting shot down. That's the best part. It was an academic textbook combat. Probably the Indians should teach their Air Force, and inshallah we will also teach our young pilots how to shoot an enemy aircraft.
But Shisa, looking at how we down the 5 aircrafts, maybe Pakistan should send their experts to teach the Indian Air Force personnel on how to, engage in proper combat. But this said, when you look at how the 25 Heron drones were also downed by Pakistan, doesn't it show Pakistan's strategic capabilities and advantages over India? Because apparently these Heron drones, these Israeli-made Heron drones, are one of the best.
These are one of the best. They can carry about 1,000 kilograms of explosive, obviously. They have a long range. They have anti-jamming devices or facilities that they do not get jammed very easily. There's no doubt about it. They're very accurate. Absolutely no doubt. And in spite of that, our people have shot them down quite a number. That says, you see, enemy does not fire selective and a rare number. They do massive firing of these. That is what I could assume, because I still do not have much of data, but I can comment on it. That's my opinion. They try to saturate the air defense system of Pakistan. That means if you could manage 20 at one time, they'll fire 100 at one time, so that your saturation. And by the way, for our public benefit, I must add here that please understand that there is no wall erected around Pakistan that anybody firing a missile will not penetrate. There's a wall around there and probably is going to collide and get dropped there, right there. It's a human game. Even you see Israel, even they were unable to protect against a very meager force of Hamas. Just compare it. And here is another so-called mini superpower of the region, which has much bigger design than being a good friend to any of the neighbor. So you compare, I am concerned about it, that they reached here. Absolutely, I support my Pakistani nation in this, the resolve that they have. But if you go out, you still do not find people in panic. But the response will come. I know the capabilities of Pakistan Air Force, at least I can tell you for sure. They are very much capable. We also have not only medium altitude long range missiles, but we have long range, much better than them. Let the time come. I think political and the military leadership will come up with something befitting, as we did in case of Rafale and Su-30 shooting down and MiG-29 shooting down.
What message this effective response of Pakistan's air defense system also sent to regional adversaries about Pakistan's readiness to defend its airspace?
You see, India might bully the company Rafale, they're not to disclose the number of the aircraft shot down. Perfectly okay, because they sold Jaguar to them, they sold Mirage 2000 to them, and they sold President Rafale to them. Absolutely fine. But go to the Google website of Martin Baker ejection seat with. They have added 3 seats, having saved 3 more pilots. The Martin Baker maintains a record of how many pilots have they saved. And let your audience be very clear about it, that 3 seats does not mean only 3 aircraft were shot down, which means the 3 pilots use the ejection seat. If some pilots go down with the aircraft, obviously the Martin Baker does not claim saving the life. So that means there are 3 aircraft possibly which were obviously saved by the Martin Baker, and probably 2 went with the aircraft. We have sent the message loud and clear that any kind of misadventure probably met with much heavier out of proportion equation that they expect, inshallah.
All right, inshallah. Pakistan is quite astute, and we stand by our brethren of the Air Forces. Thank you very much, Air Commodore Khalid Chishti Saab, to have joined us and to have talked to us about Pakistan's readiness, about, of course, these Heron drones and the downing of the 5 jets. Thank you, sir, and we'll, of course, be continuing to talk to you in the coming days as well. Coming to you, Zamir Saab, you've just heard Air Commodore Khalid Chishti Saab, and you've seen how he was giving the technical reasonalities as far as the downing of the 5 jets is concerned, and also the Heron drones, and despite their capabilities, how Pakistan was able to shoot those down. I will repeat the same question that I asked Chishti Saab. Are we sending the message across to our adversaries so as not to, entangle us too much before the reaction comes, and if the reaction comes, it would be too strong maybe for them to realize or to absorb?
I mean, Pakistan Air Force performance is proved that we can shot down their latest aeroplanes, and also shot down their Israeli drones also. I mean, our capabilities are proved.
True.
that is a different question that we will take the political decision how to respond it. We have the capabilities, we have the will. We will do at the appropriate time.
Zamir sahab, what more should Pakistan do diplomatically in order to counter the whole Indian narrative that is very forcefully putting down everybody's throat across the globe?
Unfortunately, media, especially the internet, is controlled by the Indians. They are working in all the internet outlets, especially in the Google, in the Facebook, in all the social medias. So they have the edge over Pakistan. But whatever is possible for Pakistan, that especially our mission should be more active and more projecting Pakistan's narrative and having more interaction with the host countries and the host media outlets, and anyhow, this is the responsibility of every individual of Pakistani to project the Pakistan narrative. And many people I know, they are doing very well.
All right. Now, we've seen the responses that have come from our brotherly countries like China, like Turkey. We've talked about that earlier in the show as well. What are the possible legal avenues, in your point of view, that are available to Pakistan, like, for example, the International Court of Justice or others, to hold India accountable for its aggressive actions? Because, I mean, I need to reiterate that to date, there is no tangible proof or any proof whatsoever of Pakistan's involvement in the Pahalgam false flag operation. And despite India tom-tomming it to the world, the fact is that it is all based on very hollow ground.
Pakistan is taking all appropriate measures. First of all, we have been representing Nation Security Council, Pakistan's point of view, and we have already sent a diplomatic note to India about the Indus Water Treaty, and we are taking all the legal and political and diplomatic actions, but definitely the time will reach when we have to respond in the military way.
Will the United Nations intervene? Will they be of any assistance under the current circumstances?
Definitely, United Nations is a not very effective organization, but whatever is possible, we have to opt all the possible options without going for the war. I mean, before making our final decision of the war or response, we explore all the avenues.
All right. Speaking of exploring the avenues, how important is the role of China in the de-escalation of tensions?
China is definitely supporting Pakistan and will rescue Pakistan in any case.
All right, this is what you say. Of course, China has always been there for us in the good and the bad times, and of course, we've got very strong ties with China as well. Pakistan's defense diplomacy is strong, but what more should Pakistan do in order to strengthen this, and with its military cooperation with also its key allies in the light of India's provocations?
Pakistan has a very close interaction with the China. With Turkey, we have also very close cooperation, and we are making manufacturing some of the joint products, defense projects. I don't want to disclose all the details, but Pakistan has a very close interaction with the Western world also. I mean, we are doing well. It's just a matter of time.
All right. Do you feel that Pakistan should also, look towards building up or strengthening its relations with the countries in order to build a coalition of like-minded nations that could, defend the onslaught of countries such as India and others?
There are military alliances, like NATO is one of the biggest one. In the past, there were the Warsaw Pact countries. There are some alliances among other countries also. Pakistan has not such a major alliance with any country, but internally we are very much satisfied. In case of any worst scenario, there are countries, they will help Pakistan.
All right. Of course, we all know that in the worst situation, but
we don't need
want to go
expose all these options.
All right. Raza, Bashir, Tarar Saab, former ambassador, joins us online as well. Raza, thank you very much to have joined us. Raza Saab, as an ambassador, I'm sure you must have seen the role many of our ambassadors are now playing as to highlight and build on Pakistan's narrative on international media. I was seeing it with the British, the Pakistani ambassador in the United Kingdom. I saw it with the Pakistani ambassador in France. I saw it with the Pakistani ambassador in the US. How important is now, under the current circumstances, the role of our emissaries across the world?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. And let me get straight to the point. Well, I'm very proud of being a member of the Foreign Service of Pakistan. And I am extremely happy at the way our, ambassadors are, conducting very effective messaging vis-a-vis, in face of this relentless Indian propaganda machine. But obviously, it is a multi-party effort. We have excellent coordination between different Government of Pakistan entities, very ably, obviously, led by the Honorable Prime Minister, and then our Deputy Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, the whole Foreign Office machinery. And so it's very important to give clear instructions to our missions, and missions have certainly risen to the occasion. And Alhamdulillah, the message has gone across, and it has blunted the efforts of Indians, and also kind of dashed their hopes of making some case against Pakistan. Hello.
Sir, what should be Pakistan's diplomatic strategy under the current circumstances?
Well, sir, in one word, basically tell the truth, and that's what we are doing. In the world of in which we live, gimmickry, sophistry that the Indian machine thrives on, it can work with the domestic audience. It can maybe cause some ripples across the border, but information has been democratized. People have access to independent sources and so on and so forth. And so basically, our strategy is ought to be and is to basically tell it the way it is. We have not tried to hide anything. We are not trying to conduct any jugglery or creativity with truth that our Indian neighbors are so good at. So that's basically the long and short of it. There's no rocket science. Basically, tell it the way it is, and then call the bluff. The Indians accused us of, being behind the attack. We very wisely said, okay, let's have an investigation, an impartial investigation, and India did not respond to it. Then I think there was some domestic compulsion to, act heroic, and then what happened has basically, caused ripples across the world. Thank you.
All right, you talk about information that has been democratized. Isn't propaganda also been democratized, especially in the wake of how Indian media has been propagating whatever it has been propagating on its traditional and social media? And I'd also like to add to that, Ambassador Sahib, I'd like to understand. I was watching the interviews of so many people on international media channels, and many of the narratives of the anchor persons out there seem to be biased in my point of view. Do you feel there's a certain strategy behind that as well?
Well, certainly. I mean, there's a very unholy nexus between the Israelis and the Indians, as we have seen. Even Indian soldiers have been fighting alongside the Israelis, and which basically, flies in the face of this non-aligned leader role, and how Nehru stood up for the Palestinians and all that. I think that has really, gone up in smoke. And so definitely there is a strategy. Yes, we have a certain disadvantage. I will not, deny that. But at the end of the day, truth is, it does come out. So on the one hand, you can cry yourself hoarse. You can, talk about how bad the Pakistanis are and how nice the Indians are, and the namaste and the, yoga and the soft image and so on and so forth. And then, the wreckage of the celebrated, indestructible Rafale when the whole world is seeing that, and it can be sort of verified from independent sources. So yes, there is efficacy in the propaganda machinery. And let me, if you permit me, let me add that what the Indians have basically done in North America, in Canada, and then in the US, I think the domestic audience has basically seen through this ruthlessness and this hubris of basically guske maro kind of that Bollywood dialogue, and wanting to basically sell it to the world that we are so sort of potent that we can go into any country and conduct operations. That is also backfired. So I think that sheen is kind of coming off. Obviously, there are domestic compulsions. So if somebody wants to sell, planes or something else to India, India is a very significant defense buyer. Nobody can deny that. So yes, there are commercial considerations and all that. But at the same time, I think the credibility of India, as this great dove and the symbol of peace, has really, it has been hit hard. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. You talk of domestic compulsions, Ambassador Saab. Let's also talk about international compulsions. Don't you feel that the role of the US becomes extremely important? Donald Trump says he's willing to mediate between Pakistan and India to ease the tensions. Is that a possibility?
Oh, definitely. You see, the Americans know from experience, and whatever little experience I've had of dealing with them, I think they have, at the end of the day, a healthy respect for Pakistanis, because Pakistan has been, a very responsible international player. I think this is the 8th time we are in the Security Council. That does not happen by chance. Our diplomacy is rock solid, and we are extremely sensitive to and cognizant of our international obligations. And obviously, the US also has certain, has had this compulsion to scapegoat us for what happens in, Afghanistan. I don't want to comment on that. But at the end of the day, if Pakistan and India, God forbid, were to go to all-out war, it's not going to benefit anybody. It's not going to benefit Mr. Modi, because there'll be nothing to basically govern. God forbid if that happens. It is not going to benefit the investors who have poured billions into India. It is not going to be of any benefit to people who are trying to prop up India as a counterweight to China, which again is a very ridiculous dream. So nobody benefits. So Americans are wise enough to know when to back down. Obviously, even with Mr. Trump's strident rhetoric and all that, at the end of the day, at heart, he's a pragmatist. And I would say Mr. Modi also is a pragmatist in many ways. But at the, this whole business of, reining sentiments in. And Pakistan has always been, very conciliatory. We are open to reason. We did not declare, we have not made any irresponsible statement. You can just, scan all the news stories. Okay, I mean, maybe a layman may get excited and say something about the nuclear prowess and all that. But to its abiding credit, the military leadership has not used any such rhetoric, because we have this maturity. Our program is not, it's not like we are children in a sand pit and we are desperate to show our toys and all that. Pakistan has a very mature nuclear doctrine, but at the same time, the desire for peace does not mean that you sit and wait to die, or you sit and wait to be sacrificed at the altar of the Modi folly or delusions of grandeur. So yes, America should be very worried, and it's not something trivial. And they should tell their Indian friends, they have a lot of bonhomie, so they should tell them that, come on, I mean, enough is enough. You've already killed innocent civilians, and the upshot is that Pakistan is not a sitting duck. Pakistan, with all due respect, is not a helpless, neighboring country, or like the hapless Palestinians. And I say this with a lot of respect for the Palestinians. So Pakistan is not some, some insignificant entity that you can just, sort of trample upon. Indians have had this dream of like that pipe dream of cold start doctrine
Very
and all
long,
that.
since a very long time, Ambassador Saab, they've had this dream.
Exactly.
Speaking, yes, yes, you were saying, sir.
Yeah, so basically it's a delusion, but Pakistan has popped the balloon. I mean, we have on every front, despite the fact that we don't have a propaganda machinery like the Indians, we have withstood the onslaught. Despite the fact that we don't have the same military prowess, our armed forces have basically given a very befitting reply. We have exploded the myth of the Rafale, and and with very with the equipment that we have, which does not cost an arm and a leg like the Rafale, we have done extremely well. And as somebody very rightly pointed out, the manufacturers of obviously we are also manufacturing JF-17 and the PL-15 and all that. So basically, they should be rejoicing because that's another dimension of the equipment being actually tested in battle. And let me just quickly add that for Pakistan, uh, battle readiness is not a theoretical concept. Pakistan is the only country whose armed forces have actually prevailed against urban guerrilla warfare. We have had our soldiers are constantly, on alert, and it pains me to see when people try to, downplay the achievements of the armed forces. Go and ask the parents of like a 23-year-old or even younger than that. A young officer or a Jawan, and even senior officers. Pakistan has a very high rate of attrition in the officer corps. So losing their children. So we are not doing it just to act important or to extract concessions from here and there. Whoever says that is condemnable to say the least. And now people have
All right.
seen we don't shy away from these things. So inshallah. But basically, the US should be counseling them.
Well,
Certainly.
let's see. I think that as Donald Trump has himself said that he's willing to mediate, so let's see whether he puts that on the table as far as India and Pakistan are concerned. Thank you very much, Ambassador Raza, Bashir, Tarar Sahab, to have joined us and to have given us your point of view on this escalating situation post the Pahalgam false flag operation. And thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this hour of Situation Room. We'll be back after a news break to highlight more of what has been happening in Pakistan, in India, and of course this hybrid warfare that India is launching on Pakistan. Stay tuned right here to our channel.